Hi, and welcome to my channel. This is all going to be a project I've had in my mind for the past couple weeks now that really combines a few of my interests, and I want to see where it takes me. Starting with probably the most obvious thing on the table here is this World Builders Journal book, this character creation workbook here. I have these because I love creative writing, fantasy-based specifically. I've played D&D for the past 5 years now, pretty much only being the DM, and I really want to improve my writing. That's goal number one. Goal number two is actually to improve my camera work and cinematography. So while video one here is going to be focused on, you'll see here in a minute, is around prompt generation and so forth to get ready for the second type of video in this series. What I want to do is part one, get really solid prompts, and I'll write down a question in this little notebook here. Like, I want you guys to see how I go through prompts and where my mind sort of takes me in the creative writing process. And in this separate little notebook over here, sorry for that whiteout, I will write that question down with maybe some extra things to try and generate a more interesting story. And in my second parts of the videos, I'll go out and about in the world wherever I can, really, anywhere that's interesting, and I will try to answer the prompt there. And what I want to do is show sort of the aesthetic behind writing, really exemplifying why it's something that I think so many people do. And while that video is still being planned and is going to take a lot of work, a great deal of filming and coordination on my end, I want to start with getting a prompt together. So this whole project really began from a very good friend of mine, literally handing me these Lamy pens here. Both of these are different Safari models, and very quickly I just fell in love with these pens, all the kind of inks that you can get. I went through maybe 10 of them before I settled on the two that are in here, and I'll go over that later. And it just put me in this mood where I really want to improve my writing in general, and I thought maybe a video project could be a good answer for that. But without much more explanation here, I am going to get into my process. So generally, how I've wanted to approach this is I need a prompt. What am I writing about? And my mind isn't so creative where I can just create anything I want to at any time. There are moments where that happens, but it's very unreliable. And what I wanted to do here is use these two books. So this is the World Builders Journal. It is by Wizards of the Coast and their D&D branding. My opinion, I don't support them anymore because of some of the things they've done, the OGL scandal. Many of you are probably already familiar. This is not a video to bash them or anything like that, but it is something that is on my mind, and you won't see me feature too much stuff from that brand. But this book is fantastic. It has a great deal of prompts here. You can see I did some work there. I wish I could recall the artist who did this specific wallpaper offhand and at least give them a shout out. Unfortunately, I can't remember them. Here we are. Cover design by Nicole Block. Cover illustration by Hydro74. Hydro does some amazing work if you are not familiar with them. They were not responsible for the prompt generation as far as I know, but we'll get into that in a little bit. This book right here, Essential Character Creation Blueprint and Workbook by ScribeForge. Amazing, amazing workbook. Love this thing. And together I have already practiced a few prompts, and they had excellent examples. And I'm going to get right into... I don't want to say get right into it. YouTubing's hard, man. I'm going to crack this book open, get a prompt going, and we'll see where it takes us. So let me clear the way here. Get a new page. So in my... losing my thing. In my red Safari here, it's a strawberry 2022 special edition, I believe. I have, let me see if I can find the bottle. Doesn't matter. In this pen, I have, it's an ink from Noodlers called 54th Massachusetts. Lovely shade of blue. Really recommend it. In my Safari Vista here is an ink by Diamine called Fire Embers. And in conjunction with each other, I'll be using both of these inks to write visually appealing books, which will be featured on later. For now, I just want the prompt. So today, and my handwriting is terrible, 5/16/24. What is the prompt? What is the question I want to ask? Let's find out. I'll grab the World Buildings Journal here and just pick a page. Last time you were carousing, you imbibed a little bit too much mead. No, not feeling that one. You had an identical twin who you're always getting confused for. That's pretty funny. Not sure if I'm feeling that one either. Here's a great question. You may think that you are the hero of your world, but in whose story are you the villain? Excellent, excellent, excellent. I love that. Where's my pen? So we'll shorten that up a little bit. In whose story are you the villain? I really like that question because it suggests that there is an entire perception of the world that our main character, or I'll probably just say you for the sake of things, there's an entire perception of the world that you just don't understand. How could I not be the hero? That doesn't make any sense. And that's the kind of stuff that I love. So this book by Scribeforge, I'm doing the same thing, flipping to a page and seeing where we go. So this is literally about heroes, idols, and deities, which is really funny. So this is an appropriate question. How does your character feel about their heroes? So in my mind, where it's going right now, I keep sliding this darn thing around. How do you perceive your own heroes, basically? So this is a very perception-based question right now. I lost that page. I doubt I'll be able to find it again. Oh, nope, pulled up right to it. How does your character feel about their heroes? So I'll just say, how does MC feel about their own heroes? And one thing I do like to do to really keep the creative juices flowing is questions like this, an answer might just pop up in your head right away, and it might be a fine answer. But what I like to do is to think of 2, maybe 3 other answers to this question. So at the very least, if my first answer, my knee-jerk, if that's something that somebody else also has, I can pretty well just throw it away and not have to worry too much about if I'm doing something maybe that has been done to death or really whatever. So in this prompt, in whose story are you the villain, and how does your own character feel about their heroes? I like this because they have heroes. I think it's one thing to say that you don't have them at all and then not understand that you're the villain. It's another thing entirely to understand, to have something to aspire to, but also not understand that in your pursuit of this, you are becoming someone's villain. So this could be an arrogance story, this could be a negligence story, maybe a little bit of both. So that's a good prompt. I like that a lot. How do they feel about their own heroes, and how does that lead them to be the villain? So for this character, I'm wondering if a young versus an old character, number one, shouldn't be a priority. Because if they're old, then, or if they're older, then this is something that they've been doing for a while. If they're young, maybe they're just subject to their own hubris or something along those lines. I might do a little bit of a blend of the two and have an older character who is stuck in a young mind. Oh my goodness, my handwriting. Stuck in a young mind, or at least a young state of mind. So what's leading me to... I'm getting ink everywhere. What's leading me to go to this path is I've noticed in my own life there's this weird phenomenon about some people from some high schools. I don't know anybody specifically, but it's certainly frequented on TV. There is always an episode of some show or a movie or whatever where their high school, their fellow high schoolers, 20, 30, 40 years ago or whatever, are still the same people. And that's really what I think I'm pointing to here. You can be an older person, but if you never matured past that point, your body will mature, but you won't. And that's, I think, what I want to do, what I want to try and accomplish here. So we have an older character who is still sort of their young, maybe cocky selves, never had to learn their lesson. And how they feel about their heroes. Probably still aspiration. I'll have to create an aspect of a specific hero for them to aspire to. So something that in their pursuit obviously would make them feel good, but make others feel bad. So something like showing off wealth, maybe? Well, that's not quite noble. Nice arrow. Showing off wealth. How do they feel about their heroes? Mimic them. Maybe deliberately for fame. Yeah, that's actually pretty perfect right there. How do they feel about their own heroes? Well, they want to aspire to be like them and mimic them, but because they're still this young mind, they're arrogant about it and they want to be noticed. They want to do it for fame. They want to be, they want to be noticed for this. They want the recognition, and you could see right off the bat how that would drive a lot of people crazy. I like this. So what I'm going to shoot for when I start writing tomorrow, I'm going to have an older main character who is trying to aspire to a hero of some kind, and the main point is probably going to be them showing off their mimicry of these heroes. This guy did this, and look at me, I'm doing it even better. Something along those lines. Rubbing it in people's face, maybe the people who he's trying to help. He's rubbing it in their face, and so quickly that would obviously make them the villain. I like that. So I think that'll be my prompt for tomorrow, or whenever I actually get around to writing, and we will see where it takes us. See you then.